Hello beautiful people, I'm RaishPhoenix, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I created this grayscale painting. If you'd like to see, just keep watching. Alright, so you guys are in for quite a roller coaster ride because I went through so much trial and error working on this piece. Like, in all honesty, I was going to give up. Like, that's how frustrated I was because I go through these phases where I'm really good at understanding what I want to illustrate, and then I go through these other phases where I want to create art, but then my mind cannot comprehend what I'm looking at. And working through that and seeing that my art doesn't look the way I want it to is very frustrating. So there was a moment where I was about to be like, nah, I'm done. But I'm so glad that I worked through it and pushed through because this piece is probably like my best work to date. So have patience with me and just understand that you're seeing the weird phase, and then you'll see how it gets much better. So the model in this photo, her name is Abby so-and-so on Instagram. Go ahead and check her out. She's a performer and she's also working on her first album, which I think is really dope. And the name of the photographer is Cat Attack Photo. So Cat Attack Photo is her original name or handle on Instagram, and her account got disabled at 131,000. I'm gonna get into how I feel about that in a minute. So her current backup account is Cat Attack Photos, so please go ahead and check out her work and give her a follow because she works so hard on her original account. I have no idea how many years, but I know it's been years that she's been putting together this beautiful body of work, just creating, photographing women of different ethnicities, different body types. It's so beautiful viewing her work, and to know that after all the hard work she's put in to build her account and her following to where it's at and to get it disabled is very frustrating. So please give her a follow, please check out her work, and I'm gonna jump into how I feel about that. I've been noticing a lot of the women I follow, so I follow a lot of accounts where women take sexy photos, and honestly it's more than that because as a woman, when I look at these photos, I see women embracing their sexuality, I see female empowerment, women empowerment, I see women who are practicing self-love. I see women who are creative as hell coming up with photo shoot ideas, coming up with the set design, coming up with cosplays. There are cosplayers who put their everything into capturing the essence of the character that they're cosplaying, putting together the props, putting together the actual outfit, sewing stuff, like so much creativity that is going into these photos. I see so much beauty in this content. So I feel like there are some people who, it's fine, you can feel however you want. There are some people who don't like it, and then there are people who love it. I'm on the love it scale. So it's frustrating because I'm noticing that a lot of the women who create content like this, their accounts are getting disabled, their photos are getting deleted, their stories are getting deleted. It sucks because, like I said, they've put years and years into creating this type of content and building their following. I would say that the amount of accounts that are getting disabled and deleted are at a high right now. I did see something saying that Instagram and Facebook apparently have changed their guidelines on what type of content is not allowed versus what is allowed. Honestly, from my perspective, I feel like, God, I don't even know how to describe this. From my perspective, I feel like at the end of the day, like, I prefer solutions. I prefer things being brought to some type of solution that honors both parties. So I can accept that there are people who don't like content like that. That's fine. But if you don't, why are you looking at their accounts? Why are you going onto somebody's page and looking at stuff that you don't like and reporting them or saying you don't like them or leaving nasty, like, why? You know? And then there's another part of me that's just like, okay, like, let me kind of think of the other type of content that I've seen posted on Instagram, specifically Instagram I'm talking about right now, that has kind of had, how do I word it, has kind of had some type of filter or something put on it to prevent people from seeing it before they fully see the image. So I know that whenever somebody posts something that either has violence or gore or something of that nature, usually Instagram puts a filter over it and says that this image contains like sensitive, I forgot how they word it, like there's sensitive imagery. So pretty much you have to click on it to be able to see the image. I feel like if we're like, it's crazy because this is real imagery of people getting hurt and people getting killed. And it's frustrating to know that people can post stuff like that and have a filter over it and it still lives on Instagram. But then when there are women who are embracing their bodies and doing things that empower women and like us owning our sexuality and not just being like, oh, here's a sexy object for a man to drool over, but here's a woman who embraces her sexuality and loves herself and loves her body, and that love comes from within, not from without, not from how people view her, but from how she views herself. And those are the images that are getting deleted. Like, that is beyond me, you know? And in my mind, I feel like the best solution is for the women who are creating sexy content, give them a tab or give them some type of checkbox that they can put when they're signing up for Instagram, or even after already signing up for Instagram, give them something where they can say, my content is 18 plus. So if there's somebody on Instagram who is under the age of 18, they can't view my work. Or give them a filter that says, okay, like, this image has like sexy content, or however they want to word it, you know? Allow people to make a decision, I guess, before, like, if they're in their explore tab and they're going through a bunch of things and then they see this creator's work in their explore tab, give them the option to be able to be like, okay, let me click on this photo and then I'll be able to view it. Because it's crazy that we kind of have this insensitivity to talking about people who are getting killed and dying, you know? Like, for me, the most sad thing when I hear anything like that or of that nature is it's frustrating when we spread that somebody's being killed, we spread that there are mass shootings and stuff, but then we don't give a way of helping them. And if we do, I feel like it's very rarely, but at the same time, like, I can definitely say, I'm gonna hold myself accountable, my vision of those type of situations is limited because I make sure that I don't expose myself to content like that, because I want to help. I need to know how to help. But if you're just telling me that somebody got hurt, people are losing family members, like, that makes me sad. And then the people who are actually going through it have to sit there and watch that stuff happen on the news and hear about it at 11 a.m., at 3 p.m., at 6 p.m., at 9 p.m. It's just like, I think it's very insensitive to do that, you know, to somebody. I wish that we gave more solutions in that department of when we spread things in terms of when people are getting hurt. But it's like, those are the stuff that gets posted on Instagram and we just talk about it. We don't actively put in actions to help these people, or the ratio of people who are actually putting in action to change the outcome of the situation versus people who are just reposting it to repost it is very low. But then there are women who are embracing their sexuality and we just delete them. We don't tell them what they did wrong. And it's frustrating because the women who I have followed and who have expressed like how it is from their end for this to happen to their account, they usually say that, you know, Instagram gives them a warning and says, you know, you can't post content like this. But then there are other accounts that are posting content like that and their page is fine. So from my perspective, there definitely seems like a level of favoritism, but also a level of not being specific about the guidelines. And there are some accounts where it's okay, and then there are some accounts where they're not. And it's like, if it's okay, make it okay for everyone. But if it's not okay, then make it not okay for everyone. And if it's not okay, and obviously there's a large amount of people who really want to make this work because of the years and years they've put into building their following, find a solution. And it's so much bigger than that, because the people that are following them are helping them so much, because this is how people make a living. You understand? Like, this is they're living. There are people who have to pay for surgeries. There are people who have to pay for food. There are people that have to pay for rent to be able to live in the house that they live in, to be able to afford the content that they do. Like, this is so much more important than just, oh, I'm just gonna get this person's account deleted, or this person gets their account deleted, we'll just grow it back. It's not that simple. Like, this is somebody's life. This is their income. This is how they live. So a solution definitely needs to be applied. Give them that 18 plus tab. Give them a filter to put on their work, or to put on the photo to be like, hey, this is like sexier than sexy. So, you know, this is what you're getting yourself into if you decide that you want to click on this photo, you know, like, it's frustrating that there is no solution applied. It's just, no, just stop, don't do that. And it's like, don't do what? Because the same energy is not kept for all accounts. That's what makes it, from my perspective, very confusing to the people who are going through it. It's very upsetting for me to see. I know obviously there's a very clear difference between violence versus sexuality, but it's like, I feel like those are the only two things that I can say I've visually seen on Instagram where there's been something different about the way Instagram deals with it. You know, it doesn't happen to food pictures, it doesn't happen to workout videos, it doesn't happen to anything, makeup videos, it doesn't happen to anything else. It's specifically videos that are pictures that can that contain violence or gore or blood or something, and then the way that imagery of women being sexy and owning their sexuality, like, that is the only thing where I've seen Instagram deal with in a very different way than it does with any other content. So that's the only reason why I'm even making that comparison. As a woman, I can definitely say that following accounts of women who post sexy content is so inspiring to me, because I still deal with having or overcoming a lot of guilt as a woman embracing my sexuality. It's like, sexuality is obviously a spectrum, but at the same time, it's something we all have, you know? And it's frustrating how women's sexuality has, in a sense, become a taboo, but at the same time used by other people. How do I word this? It's become a taboo, but also used by others who are not women. And then when women use their sexuality, it's like, what's wrong with you? You're a hoe, you're a slut, you're degrading yourself. And it's just like, how can you say that? But then at the same time, you will use me when you're not even a woman to market or to sell whatever you want. And then when I embrace myself as a woman, I get called a hoe or slut or degrading. It's like, really? Like, what? But the thing that I love the most about seeing women post sexy content is the amount of different body types. Like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, because there are going to be girls who are 18 plus. Let me be specific. There are going to be girls that are 18 plus that unfortunately have never seen a plus size superhero, who have never seen a plus size, whatever they may want to be. Like, maybe there's a woman or an 18-year-old out there who never saw a woman who, I don't know, was a model or was walking on the runway or whatever the case may be. Like, people who are 18 and striving to be, they're going to grow up and be able to see women of different body types who are embracing themselves and feel inspired to pursue whatever it is that they want in life. This is something that I definitely think about, because I have friends who are on the plus size side. The amount of pain, like internal pain, I have seen them gone through because they just don't see themselves in any space in this world because of how limited the body type has been in whatever it may be, whether it's in magazines, in cartoons, in whatever the content may be. It sucks because they don't see themselves. And sometimes I think about how different my friend's life would be if she just saw a plus size superhero for once. And it's like, I get emotional about this because like, literally, it's like, she doesn't think she's beautiful, you know? And it's like, there are times when she sees it, and then there are times when she doesn't. And when she does it, it's like she's so hard on herself. And I know that we all have our own body goals. We all have the space where we want to be with our body. But it sucks to see that people hate themselves until they get to where they want to be with their body. There should be love applied or within somebody no matter what body type they have. You know, it's like you can have your goals, you can know where you want to be, you can know the work you want to put in, but through every step of the way, you should love yourself. Seeing plus size women who are creating sexy content, doing lewd photo shoots, and whatever it may be that they're producing, I find it so damn beautiful and so damn necessary, because those women are superheroes, you know? Like, they're literally superheroes. And I think it's an amazing thing to see women embracing themselves. What I'm starting to notice a lot is that, and I'm gonna hold myself accountable because sometimes I do end up doing stuff like this and I have to subconsciously check myself, or consciously, in that case, consciously check myself and make sure like I get my thoughts in order. But I'm noticing that as human beings, we do this thing where there are some of us who are very comfortable in what we believe in and are able to hold that space regardless of if somebody doubts us or not. And then there are some of us who believe in certain things, and because we are so insecure about what we believe in, when somebody questions that, we feel the need to convince the other person that what we believe in is truth for everyone, because we're insecure in our own truth. So the only way we can feel secure in our truth is by convincing as many people who think differently that they shouldn't think differently and they should think the same as us. So the reason why I bring this up is because I feel like the people who have an issue with women who are embracing their sexualities, I feel like it's because we all have an idea of how we embrace our sexuality. The thing that I want to be most clear about is, even though I'm saying how much I love women embracing their sexuality and the examples I've given, that is not the only way a woman can embrace her sexuality. Regardless of if a woman likes to post sexy photos of herself, stay home and take a bath, lay in bed naked, and not talk to anyone and just have a self-love and self-care day, if a woman wants to be fully clothed and walk outside and feel like the shit, she should. Whatever way a woman feels comfortable embracing her sexuality, that is her truth. Okay? That is her truth. And the reason why I want to say that is because I feel like what happens a lot, if a woman is attacking another woman for the content that she's making and she doesn't like it, I think it's because that woman has insecurity in the way she embraces herself, or maybe doesn't feel as beautiful or as valued in the way she embraces her sexuality because of the person who is creating a different type of perspective towards embracing sexuality. I think it's very important that we all get it through our head that there's a spectrum. There are different ways to express ourselves, and just because somebody doesn't do something the way that you do does not mean that you should bring them down, make them feel less than, call them names and stuff. Like, it's very sad for me to see stuff like that. And I think it's very important that we realize that regardless of how somebody chooses to embrace their sexuality, as long as they're not harming somebody else or harming themselves in a way that, like, you're very conscious of the fact of them harming themselves, like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't even know how to describe harm in this way, because I think that there's a perspective of somebody saying that somebody's harming themselves because they wouldn't do it. Like, somebody can say, I think that somebody who's taking lewd content is harming themselves because they don't believe that it's okay to do. Like, that is very different. Like, I don't mean harm like that. I mean harm like your health is declining. Like, your health is literally declining. That's what I mean. So I think it's so important to understand that there's a spectrum of expressing ourselves, and that just because somebody falls on a different spot on that spectrum from you does not mean that you should look down upon them or talk lowly of them because of what they've chosen to do and what's more in tune with their being or their essence. In terms of holding myself accountable, I can definitely say there have been times, not about sexuality, but in other situations in my life, I can see how I have felt like I had to convince people that certain things or certain scenarios should be played out a different way, because I personally wouldn't do what I'm doing in the way that they would do what they're doing. and because I feel a clear difference in that, and I feel like because of the approach they have is more destructive as opposed to constructive, I at times do feel the need to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, maybe you should try it differently. But what I realize is that there are moments when maybe I wouldn't have done it that way and I see it as destructive, but maybe the things that I find destructive can be constructive for the other person simply because that's the life path they're on, you know? I think it's very easy for us as human beings to get caught up in our perspective, caught up in what we believe to be right or wrong. But once you eliminate right or wrong, you realize that it's just what's best for the person. And as long as they're not harming themselves, like declining in health and not doing well, it's to each his own, you know? It really is. And it's one of those things where we just got to be more conscious. We really got to be aware of what we're doing. Be aware of that, you know, like be aware of the fact that bringing somebody down just because you feel low is not like, no, that's not fixing anything. You still feel low and now you just brought somebody down with you. Like that's not cool. It's not okay. And it's like, if you don't agree with what somebody's doing, like, don't include them in your life. Don't go on their page. Don't look at their content. I feel like it's so much easier for people to be angry and attack people than it is for people to be constructive and make a healthy decision. We need to start putting the work in. We need to put the work in to be healthy, constructive, listen. It's like people want to be heard, but then at the same time, nobody like will put the effort in to be understood or be understanding. It's like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel and you need to understand that, but at the same time, I'm not gonna give you the space to tell me how you feel and understand that. You can't have a relationship with somebody and it's one-sided. It's like, it's so unhealthy. But at the same time, I am talking about Instagram, and like all this is pretty much just looping back to Instagram and what it's doing and why I find it frustrating. And I do understand the fact that Instagram is a platform and people created it, and they can have whatever guidelines they have. But I think it's really repulsive to see that they're targeting women who create sexy content, and it's just women, you know, like that's it. Like it sucks, you know. And it's crazy how like I have these moments where I'm just like, shit, like we're just regressing, huh? Like we're going back to like limited thoughts, huh? We're not leaving any room for expanding our way of thought. We're not leaving any room for solution. We're just like, nope, that's wrong, slap on the hand, not fixing anything. Like that's what we're doing. And it's like, okay, all right, okay. I can't. But that's it for today's video, guys. I just have a lot on my mind and I want to share it. And to all the women out there who are embracing their sexuality in whatever way is most comfortable for you, bless up. Like, hell yeah, goddess. Like, fuck it up. I see you. Like, you out here slaying. Like, do it. Do the damn thing, alright? Like, don't let anybody get in your way. Do what you gotta do, sis. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Bless up, and until next time, sending out much peace, love, and enlightenment. Bye, guys.